welcome to the Wholly Regular ECY Shedcast, episode, I think it's 18 now, are we on? Hello and welcome. Hope you're having a good week. We've had a busy week here at ECY Shed Quarters, as always. So I thought I'd just pop in and give you an update on where we're up to, show you what we've got this week, and talk about what's going on. So thank you for all your lovely comments on previous Shedcasts and all over social media as well. It's really very much appreciated and very helpful as well. So thank you. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you're not already. It all just helps basically with brand awareness, I suppose. Sort of the more we get the word out, the better. And yeah, so what's going on this week? Well, I've got another huge update for you coming. This one, it is related to the previous one because this one is Keld Fingering, which is the Superwash Merino linen, and it's the fingering / 4-ply weight. Whereas the previous update, as you hopefully remember, was the Aran weight version of the same yarn. So I've been really busy with that this week. Also this week, I've been knitting hard on my Shawlography MCAL project by Stephen West. That's going really well. I'm really enjoying it. So I will talk about that and I will show it to you. I'm just checking it's not on the screen. No, it's not. I'll show it to you, but I'll do that right at the end so that if you don't want to see the Clue 2 spoiler, not that I've completed it, but if you don't want to see it, you'll be able to switch off before I bring that on screen. So I hope that helps. I haven't really actually got much else done because that's just taken up all of my knitting time, and been quite tired this week, to be honest, so I've been going to bed quite early. So yeah, by the time, you know, all the evening chores and activities are done, it doesn't actually leave very much time left before bed, or not for me anyway. I've done a little bit more work on my little yarnling cowl that I'm making. To be honest, I really should have finished this by now, but I've been distracted by Shawlography, haven't we all? So this is where the cowl's up to, not much further up than last time I showed you. But I shall try and crack on with that because I want to get the pattern published. I'm going to pop that pattern up on Instagram just as a post that you can save, and I shall pop it on the blog as well. And I want to do a double knit version of that. So I do actually have here my 10 gram double knit yarnlings picked out, ready to make the 10 gram double knit yarnling version of the same thing. And yes, I am keeping them in an empty cheese box because I was in town on Saturday. We went into the florist to buy some mini pumpkins for photo props, which you will probably have seen if you've seen my pictures. And the person behind the counter had these, well, we were talking about cheese, not cheese, we were talking about photo props, and she showed me a load of empty cheese boxes and I was oohing over them. And so she told me that they had come from the cheese shop because yes, Wetherby has a cheese shop. We are that good. So Alison and I, who I'd met for a drink and a bit of cake, went round to the cheese shop. But of course you can't just walk in and ask for empty cheese boxes, can you? And they did have them down on the shelving near the bottom. But I just felt obliged to buy something. I mean, it's a small independent shop. So then got struck by decision paralysis and found myself thinking, well, if I get some lovely Wensleydale or some proper Cheshire or something like that, I'll end up just stuffing my face with the whole lot. And that's probably not a good thing. But then I was panicking over what to buy, and the guy was looking at me waiting for me to decide. And so I bought brie instead. I thought, I don't know why, I just thought, oh, well, we could have brie for lunch tomorrow with a baguette. So instead of the Wensleydale or Cheshire or something like that, we actually stuffed our faces with brie and a lovely baguette. However, none of that actually really relates to the empty cheese boxes because it did not come home in a cheese box. But I did bring them back with me. So that's why I've got empty cheese boxes. I've no idea what else I might use them for, but they're currently sat on the kitchen table looking very pretty. So that was a very long-winded way of telling you that there will be a double knit version of the Yarnling cowl as well when I get around to it. When maybe if shawlography backs off a little bit, then I might get a bit more else done. We'll see. The clue this week's really big as well. Anyway, enough of that. I shall come back to it. What else has happened this week? Well, to be honest, I've been so busy with photography, social media, dyeing, obviously, that I somehow just haven't really got much else done. And I had a physio appointment yesterday for my foot as well. It was right in the middle of the day, so that took quite a lot of time out. I can show you something else that I have been doing recently, which I'm not sure whether I've shown you or not, but I've got a thing hung up in the office, a decoration hung up in the office, and it's 2 pieces of willow, I think it'll be, willow sticks. They're quite long, and hanging between them I have some squares that I crocheted up in Milburn 4-ply. The idea being just to show the colours off, different patterns, and they're in colours that we don't even sell anymore, so I thought it was high time I made some more. And it's a project that I enjoy, so this is a bit of a long-term thing. It's not huge, it's just a long-term thing. So I've done this one. These do need blocking, by the way, so they're still a bit raggy. So that's catmint, thyme and fern. That's that one. Let's put that there. And then there's this one. Actually, it was getting the new azalea colourway, which prompted me to think about doing this. So that is, what have we got? Steel, wicker, natural, azalea and black tulip. There. And, oh, which one should I show you next? Let's have this one. There's this one. This is dusk, wicker, steel and charcoal, which is a really real beauty. And then we have this one, showing different lights, it's probably best there, isn't it? Which is compost, charcoal, rust and black tulip. So I'd like to make a few more of those yet, but it's probably not going to be till after shawlography maybe. I actually stopped making them because the crocheting was really aggravating the RSI in this elbow, so that was why I'd stopped making them in the first place. But anyway, hopefully I'll be able to get back to them. And talking of Milburn, we have more new Milburn 4-ply packs and double knit packs up on the website this week. And I've been messing about a little bit with these giant bobbins, because I've been using small card bobbins in the dye shed for my colourway samples for years, really the whole time that I've been doing this. But for some reason the small ones are quite hard to buy, whereas these big ones are much easier to get hold of. So I once bought these big ones by accident, and they came and I was just like, what am I going to do with those? But anyway, I kept them, as you do, and all these years later I finally worked out what to do with them. So I'm doing some Milburn bobbins. So this here is natural, rain, steel, charcoal, compost and wicker. I hope you can see the colours quite well there. Just turn that against the light a bit. And what I'd like to do, if I can, I mean, this is all sort of time consuming, and it's a case of getting around to it. But I think it would be good if I could do this for the Milburn yarn packs, so that you can see in a different way how the colours will interact with each other. But yeah, don't place your bets on that happening anytime soon, but I will just gradually do them. And then the other one that I did was this. So this is a yarn pack that we added just yesterday. Joji Locatelli has released a new shawl pattern called the Frank shawl, and it's a large geometric wrap shaped shawl, and it uses sort of 3 colours in a monotone, and then it's framed with a popping colour. So my first thought was Milburn in natural rain. Yeah, natural rain. You could do natural rain and steel framed with charcoal, or no, what did I do? Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. I did natural steel and charcoal, and then framed it with rust, because she had greys framed with like a copper colour, as like geometric lines. So that was the first one I did, natural rain and charcoal framed with rust. And then the other alternative to that was natural steel and charcoal framed with rust. But then my brain was ticking away, as they do, and I thought it would be nice to do a pink version. So then I came up with this. I mean, this is just one out of like loads and loads of ideas. So we've got natural Althea and bramble, and they're framed with black tulip. Isn't that gorgeous? So obviously there's tons and tons of scope for all this, because there's 20 colours to go at. So there is an awful lot to sort of think about and play with. But that's another thing that I've been doing and thinking about this week. So you'll have to let me know if you think that seeing those will be helpful. Because if you do, then that'll sort of enable me to justify myself, but for doing more, spending time doing more. And I should pop them on Instagram and stuff like that as well. So that's all of the random things that have been going on this week. Let me tell you about the update. Okay, so this is Keld Fingering, and as I said before, it's the Superwash Extra Fine Merino with 10% linen added. So you get this lovely rustic appearance, but you can't feel the linen. You can only see it. Because people keep commenting about how soft it is, and it is really soft, and that's due to the extra fine merino, which just means that it's the best. It literally means that it is extra fine, because sometimes you get merino, and particularly in things like shop bought jumpers and garments, they have merino on the label, and I have to be honest, they don't feel anything like the merino that we as hand knitters are used to. Have you noticed that? And that's because, like with lots of other things, there are so many different grades of merino wool that you can get. And if I'm really honest, I suspect the ones that the shops are using are probably the cheapest, which is understandable. They, that's how they work. But if you feel a merino wool jumper in a shop, it's going to feel nothing at all like what we have here, which is one of the benefits of being a knitter and crocheter, isn't it? So also our seaming's better quality, I think, as well. So yeah, lovely and soft. Let me tell you the actual stats on it. So it's 100 grams as usual. This one's 360 meters and 393 yards. So it's a bit shorter than quite a lot of our other 4-ply yarns because they tend to come in at 400 metres most of the time. And that's because linen is a very dense fibre and these are done by weight. So these are done to be roughly 100 grams. There's a percentage leeway either way that's allowed. It's quite high. I can't remember what it is, but it's quite high. And they're allowed to be 10% over or underweight by the mill standards. That's because they can contain moisture, which can affect the weight. So if the yarn, for example, isn't quite dry, then it's going to be heavier. And if it's been kept in very dry conditions and it's kind of over dry, which is seemingly a thing, then it can be a little bit underweight. So that's why there's a leeway allowed, and that's why actually most of ours tend to be, if anything, they tend to be overweight, and which is great. That's really good, because it is just really disconcerting if they're a little bit under. So yeah, 100 grams, but the lower yardage. So like I said, linen is a very dense fibre compared to something like pure wool. And because it's dense, it's adding weight without the yardage, if that makes sense. So it means that you get less of the yardage for the same 100 grams that you would if this was pure wool, because pure wool is less dense. Okay, so that's why that is. And as I said before, 90% superwash, extra fine merino. Although I've written superfine on here, I get superfine and extra fine mixed up. I think they're just terms that are interchanged quite a lot. So if I've written superfine, I mean the same thing. It's basically the grade of merino, and it means it's a very fine micron to the fibre. And one day maybe I shall talk more in depth about that. And then 10% linen. Okay, so it's superwash merino, which means that this is technically a machine washable yarn. I must admit I haven't machine washed any of my things made in it, and I wouldn't particularly recommend it if you can possibly avoid it, because being a singles yarn, it's going to be that bit more delicate compared to a plied yarn, which holds its structure quite tightly. So it's kind of just that little bit more at risk if it goes through the washing machine. I have a feeling that it would actually survive really well, but I just wouldn't advise risking it really, that's all. So although it says superwash merino on the label, we do have the hand wash instructions on these bands. Okay, so that's the statistics of the yarn. Let me just see if my, ooh, perfect drinking temperature. This week's tea is it's a festive one actually, from Birdhouse Teas, who are based in Sheffield. This is from last year. It smells incredible, honestly, it really does. It smells of December. It's just gorgeous. It doesn't taste as strong as it smells. They never do they? It's basically, it's a fruit tea, and it's basically apple, but with kind of spices and things like that. It's really good. So, gorgeous. Birdhouse Teas, highly recommended. If you've been with us a while, there's a good chance that you'll have heard of them or tried their teas, to be honest, because we've used them in our subscription boxes and things like that. Anyway, back to the yarn. So this is quite a large update. I think we've got about 27 colours, which is quite a weird amount. I'd normally call it 25 or 30. I have no idea why there's about 27, but there we go. These things happen, and there's tons to choose from. So I've been quite heavily influenced by the autumn colours with this one, it has to be said. Let me take you through a few at a time. So let's do the usual and start with the neutrals. Let me just see what we've got. Yep, that's neutral. Do browns count as neutrals? Surely they do. They do in my world anyway. So that's those. And there's another one. That's not really neutral, but I'll put it nearby. Not quite. That is... okay. Let's give these a go. So, a couple of greys. We have charcoal and ash. Okay. And then, ooh, what have I missed? Silver birch. Not a grey. Obviously it's quite bluey greeny. And then equinox, which again isn't quite grey. This is a slightly warmish blue grey. It's I would say silvery, but that's silvery. That's silver birch. This is equinox, which is slightly bluish, but it's like a purplish blue. So those are the kind of greys. Okay, let's put those there, and then definitely gone bigger on the browns this time, because so we have compost and then clay. It's very, very similar, but just not quite. And then bark as well. They're sort of what I would call three sister colourways. Very closely related. And then the sort of slightly creamier ones. We've got driftwood, which is an absolute classic. We've got whispering grass, which if I was doing a rainbow, I would probably put this in the yellows, but it is fairly neutral. That's whispering grass. And then also, it's not really neutral, but chestnut. Brown, but kind of not neutral. Because if I'm going in that direction, then I might as well show you the falling leaves. And then if I'm going to do that, then I could also show you the Mellifer and the Summer Harvest. So those three are lovely together, particularly. And okay, going off on a bit of a tangent here, but we also have Stone Chat. Just divine. And Dahlia, which is that bit warmer, a bit more orangey. So I think I was really kind of feeling quite harvesty and hedgerows and things like that. So that's that lot. That's hyssop with the whole lot. For a bit of contrast there. What next? But then there's also Black Magic Rose, which is a particularly dark dye lot of this colourway. So you've got all of those there. I'm gonna have to put those down a bit. I also did, this is quite an unusual one for me, but it's been around for many years, and I really should do it more often. This is Autumn, proper orange. So we do have a proper orange, in fact, in Milburn 4-ply here, which is Crocosmia. But as you can see, Autumn is slightly different. Okay. So that's Autumn, which looks lovely with Dahlia. Oh, I just love it. What could we put with these? Because this could be quite challenging with a rich orange. Obviously, I've got all your neutrals. All three browns. Look at that. What if we take away Dahlia and have Mellifer instead? A bit softer. Or could bring in a bit of cool steel, ash even. So that's ash. Let's just show you hyssop as well. So that's Hyssop. And it's that bit more greeny, bluey, greeny compared to Ash. These are often mixed up in bad lights, it has to be said. Because if you're looking at them individually in terrible lighting, like my garage, these look really similar. But when you see them next to each other, they're quite different. But of course, if you're looking at them individually and you don't have that point of reference, they look very similar. So yeah, we've got all the harvesty colours. Red Kite as well. So again, let's pop that with some browns. Oh yes. And again with the sort of creamy, harvesty, that was Whispering Grass. Mellifer. Mellifer's that bit stronger. I'll probably go for that with it. What about Dahlia? In fact, let's just get rid of that lot. Hang on. Red Kite with Dahlia. Beautiful. Red Kite, Dahlia and Compost. Or Clay. A bit softer. Yeah, that works. Then of course we have the old classic, don't we? Oh. Red Kite with Black Magic Rose, because of course this goes with everything. And then with the Dahlia as well. And then if we take the Red Kite away, I'm really liking these two together. The warmth of that is just perfect with that. That's Dahlia again. Of course you could go for cool contrast as well. So we have Hyssop with Black Magic Rose, or again Hyssop with Dahlia, or you could go softer and go Hyssop with Mellifer. And then of course this goes really well with the slightly more brownish colours. I love Hyssop and Bark together, Hyssop and Clay, and then let's put that down, we've got Hyssop and Compost. Yeah. And I've just spotted another one, Red Kite with Stone Chat. These are sister colours as well, actually. Okay, so like Red Kite, Stone Chat, Bark, or Clay. Oh, I really like that. And then I want a creamy colour to go with those. What about Summer Harvest? Oh, yeah. Or Falling Leaves. Yes, I'm all over that. I haven't even shown you all the colours yet. What have we got under here? We also have the one actual proper pink, Faded Bloom, but I also think that's quite harvesty and hedgerowy as well, particularly if you put it with a green, which I only did one of, and I don't have it with me. I'll tell you why. It's because it was the very last colour that I was photographing yesterday morning, and I was just doing it as the rain started, and it started quite hard, so I had to throw everything in boxes and go. I knew it was coming, to be honest, but still, it was just like, I'm just on the last colourway. So that's why that is not here, because it's in a box, hiding from rain from yesterday. But the green that I did was Ivy, which is a proper medium green, and would have worked really well, or will work really well with Faded Bloom. But I've also done Fen. Now I really like those together. Fen is a weird colour. I can say that because it's mine, and I dyed it, and I came up with it. It is a weird colour though. It is slightly green, but it just only ever seems to look like that to me. In fact, it doesn't even in this light, but outside it did look slightly green. It's sort of browny yellowy green, but also really pale, so it's very confusing. Anyway, so we've got Faded Bloom with Fen. Excuse me. What else could we put with those? Oh, how about Gold? Falling Leaves. And you've got your Stone Chat. Love those. That's a really nice balance of colours. I've not even done Equinox either, have I? What about Faded Bloom with Equinox? That's lovely. That brings out the bluish sheen in the Equinox really nicely. And then, I mean, so I've shown you that. That's Faded Bloom with Falling Leaves. Where's it gone? Oh, there it is. What about Faded Bloom with Chestnut? Is the chestnut too dark? I'm not sure that this chestnut's maybe a bit too dark and doesn't provide enough contrast. You could separate them like so. That's Fen again. Or you could use something like Whispering Grass. Well, what about, for a bit of, again, contrast, Silver Birch? Yes, that's nice. Still not showing you all the colours. What have we got under here? We have, I've done 2 blues, a whole 2. I love doing blues, but they just don't particularly sell. However, I have Tarn, which is quite a strong favourite. I think this is everybody's favourite blue because it's sort of soft and it's quite easy to pair it with other colours, which helps, doesn't it? And then I've done this, which I don't do very often. This is Murmuration. And it's sort of like, is it black? Is it blue? Can't really tell. It's a bit of both. It is a bit of both. Well, not black, but very dark grey and very dark blue, all swirling together. And what I've done with this one, considering that it's variegated, is I've tried to make sure that the colours are as swirling as possible so that you hopefully won't get pooling. We don't often seem to get pooling with the variegated colourways, I think because I'm quite careful about it. And I try to make everything as randomised as possible. So anyway, that's Murmuration, which I'm a little bit in love with. And oh, and there's Thunder as well, which is what I'm wearing. Thunder can look a bit greyish sometimes, but it's come out really nice and purple here. So let's just take a look. We have Thunder with Ash. I tell you what as well, I love Thunder and I know that's Clay. That's Thunder and Clay, which I love. But where is my compost? There it is. Thunder and Compost. Oh yes. Now let's compare those to Thunder with Chestnut. That works, but I'm not sure that the Chestnut's not a bit dark for Thunder, and maybe washing it out a little bit. But how about with Falling Leaves? That's much better. They make each other sort of glow, which is good. And then you've got the lighter yellowy colours like Mellifer and Driftwood. Oh, that's Whispering Grass. Where's Driftwood? There it is. There's Driftwood, which is a bit cooler, but makes Thunder look really good. Whispering Grass, which is that bit warmer, which I like. And Thunder with Summer Harvest. Ooh, Thunder and Summer Harvest there. So that's very pretty. There's another colourway that I've just spotted that I didn't show you. Heathered Crags, which is variegated again. Now this is being used in a pattern by Jaya, who we've worked with heaps and heaps of times, and it's still such a great pleasure to work with her. She is based in India. You might know her as Apurva Designs on Instagram, Facebook. And she did our 4 Seasons collection. We've done all sorts with her. So she's got a cowl pattern coming out in this. I'm not sure where she's up to with the timing. I think she's sort of been delayed and stuff like that, but you know, we all have times like that, don't we? So it might be that the pattern doesn't quite tie in with the yarn update. We'll see. If it doesn't, then I can dye more. So that's what inspired this to be in this update. And then if you wanted to use that with another colour, you've got your perfect pair in there with Faded Bloom. Or you could go even darker and go for Black Magic Rose. You could do all 3. How about that then? Yes, beautiful. So yeah, there's tons to go at. Let's have a look at Murmuration. What does that go with? So you could frame it with something like Driftwood, which would definitely show off the blue in it. Or let's see how this one compares. Hang on, that was Whispering Grass. Did I show you that one? Whispering Grass, right. Let's try again. Driftwood, okay, or Mellifer, and Summer Harvest. So which of those would we choose? I would probably go down the lighter aspect, and I think I'd go for Whispering Grass, I think. Or let's have a look at this, Falling Leaves. That shows off the blue actually, doesn't it, as well? Let's just check Chestnut. I can't decide whether I think I really like that, but I can't decide. Sometimes you get things like that, don't you? And you're like, do I really like that or do I actually hate it? I'm not sure. If you have an opinion, do let me know in the comments below. Because it's very interesting hearing. And actually, after the last shed cast, I had more colour combination suggestions that I hadn't thought of either. So it really gets the creative juices going doing this, doesn't it? Now here's a lovely one. Yeah, that's just ideal. Murmuration with Equinox. They both make each other look more blue. They like bring out the best in each other, which I think is what you're really looking for, isn't it? Let's just compare that to the Silver Birch. Yeah, again, that works really well as well. I don't know which one I prefer, actually. See, when you put the Equinox next to Silver Birch, it washes out the Equinox. So you want Equinox with something that is going to make it look at its best. That one. Or that one. And of course, when it's with this, this makes this blue look more of a greeny blue. That one makes it look more of a warm blue. So these colours bounce off each other, you know. So just to make things even trickier. Have we got anything else? There's so much to go at here, honestly. We've got things like Ash and Falling Leaves, classic combo. Summer Harvest. What about Chestnut? Black Magic Rose. Oh, and then that needs a bit of something, doesn't it? It needs something to lift it. Let's have a little try of Stone Chat. That lifts it. Yes. See, I always think that palettes, you put your palette together and then it needs something to lift it if it hasn't already. That seems to be my thing, is putting a colour in there that's going to lift it. I don't know if everybody does that, or I don't know. But that seems to be something that my brain always latches onto. How about Tarn with Dahlia? I'm not sure if that's quite a strong enough. I don't know though, maybe it is. Is it strong enough blue? Let's try it against Murmuration as well. Not sure, that's not quite right. So there's plenty to go at. Just looking and thinking, is there anything that I've missed? Oh, that's nice. That is Thunder and Stone Chat. That's beautiful. What about Thunder, Stone Chat and Fen? Oh yes, love that. Thunder, Stone Chat, Fen, and what does that need? Does it need anything? Oh, you could put Black Magic Rose with it. That would be lovely. Or does it want a yellow? Summer Harvest. Again, that lifts the whole palette with that lovely, warm, bright sunlight colour. I don't really know where to go from here. Faded Bloom and Compost. I've lost track of what I've done now. Or Echinops and Bark. Echinops and Bark. Right. Where am I going with this? I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh, Echinops, Bark and Murmuration. Does I want something else with it? Echinops, Bark, Murmuration and Falling Leaves. Or what about Whispering Grass? Because then all three of those are framing that. That's nice. Or if I take it back to, I mean, you could go for like all soft neutrals. Bark, Echinops and, let me check, yeah, Whispering Grass. You could potentially do those and frame them with a darker neutral. Or you could give them a pop with something like Black Magic Rose. Red Kite. Autumn. Or, where's it gone? Chestnut. Yeah, so as I keep saying, there is plenty to go out here. There is tons. With that many colours, you know, I definitely can't cover all bases with the colour combinations on here. But I've done Red Kite and Bark, haven't I? That's lush. So yeah, so that's our update. And what we're doing with this update is this is going live. It went live 5 minutes ago, but only to the ECY Garden, which is our Facebook group, and newsletter subscribers. Because I thought it would be nice, well, I was thinking about this and I thought it would be nice to basically say thank you for being part of our little community here. And I was just thinking that actually giving you early access to updates would be a really nice thing to do, because it just gives you that bit of extra time to mull over the colours, decide what you want, maybe find a pattern that inspires you and stuff like that, before the update then opens to the general public. So what's happening is there is a secret link, hidden page on the website, and that's been sent out in the Facebook group and on the newsletter. So if you've had it, please don't share it, keep it to yourself. But then if you want to suggest that other people join, please do, because then they'll get that too. So that's basically a long-winded way of saying please join the newsletter in particular, but also the Facebook group if you fancy it. We're really keen on the newsletter because, you know, with social media, you're always battling against like algorithms, and you're always trying to second guess it and blah 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 blah, and it's so easy to miss things. I miss things from people that I follow, and it's really annoying. And actually being on a newsletter, if it's one that you actually do want to be on, is so much more useful, because you get that email to your inbox. So for me, I'm on a lot of designers mailing lists, because it means that I'm not missing their new pattern releases, or I might get them ahead of time so that I can do yarn packs and stuff like that. So we hope that our newsletter does the same for you. We only ever send them out when we've got something that we genuinely think will be of interest. So it might be blog posts that we think might be helpful, pattern releases, obviously yarn updates. So some weeks you might get like 3 because loads of stuff has happened and we need to communicate that. And then some weeks you might only get 1 or even none. You know, if we're really busy, we haven't done a yarn update, we're just kind of working behind the scenes, we don't actually have anything to tell you, we then just won't send a newsletter. So we don't bombard you with them, that's what I'm trying to say. And it's just a really good way to make sure that you keep on top of our news and what's happening, because people are always saying, oh, I didn't realise you had that, I missed that. It's like, well, it was in the newsletter. So that's why I'm always banging on about it, and that's why we're always encouraging you to join if you haven't already. If you already have, then thank you. And I've just pulled out another, did I show you this? That's beautiful, isn't it? That's Stone Chat and Whispering Grass together. I mean, just the softness of the colours, I absolutely love it. I love these slightly unusual shades where it's like it's kind of pink but not quite. One of my favourite things always has been to go slightly off kilter with colours. So like Blossom is basically my sugary pink. It's my most sugary pink, but it's not sort of so sugary that I don't like it. And sort of coming up with that, it was like, I like to make a sugary pink, but I don't like to be insipid. So my whole aesthetic is based around that. Anyway, what about Stone Chat? I don't know if I already did this. Bark and Whispering Grass. Apologies if I've already done those, but look how beautiful they are together. Just keeping an eye on the time and my phone. I'm filming in a lower definition today, so hopefully my phone won't run out of storage on me. So this then goes live to the general public at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. No, 3 o'clock on Tuesday. It was 4 o'clock for today's, it's 3 o'clock for Tuesdays. Of course, if you're watching this after that, then that'll be long gone. But if you're watching this in the days coming up to that, and you're not in the Facebook group or on the newsletter, then yeah, that's when it'll go live. I'm sure there'll be plenty left though, if I'm honest, because there is a lot. It's more that it just gives early access people time to browse and kind of get what they want before the full-on rush, which I thought would be good. Okay. So, coming up this next week, I haven't even shown you my knitwear, have I? But it's been nearly an hour, so let me just tell you what's coming up next week. Is we have a Silverdale DK update coming, which is dyed, twisted and ready to photograph. So here is an example. And that is in support of a pattern release. So that's Silverdale double knit, and that's next week. Hopefully I'll have my yarnling cowl, the 4-ply version, done and dusted and videoed and all that kind of thing. I'll tell you what else has actually just happened today. Our Hencliffe pattern has been rewritten. It's been all test knitted, all done and dusted, and we've re-released that. There is a reintroductory offer on it. So if you already bought it, you'll have received the update. If you haven't bought it yet and you'd like to, Laura has set up a code with an reintroductory offer on it. And I'll ask her to pop that in the blurb below for you. So that's Hencliffe. Also, huge thank you to our test knitters. I was quite absent for a lot of this last test knit. Because we managed to time it whilst I was having my surgery. I was off like far more than I could have anticipated, and the testers just kept it going. They were absolutely brilliant. So if you are one of them, thank you. Really do appreciate it, and I hope you've enjoyed it as well. So that was Hencliffe, and shall I just really quickly show you some knitwear in Keld fingering so that you can see how it knits up. Here is Willow. This is my own pattern. That's a shawl with plenty of drape. Okay, there is a hat which matches that. Beanie, but also could wear it like that. Apologies for the messy hair, by the way. So it works well at a tighter gauge as well. And I've got the matching fingerless mittens for Willow, which I've also knitted in Keld. We have garments. It's really good for garments. This is Yume, Y-U-M-E, which I'm sure you'll have heard of, with the lovely lace yoke. Now it's done at a fairly loose gauge, though actually that would look cool with something long sleeved underneath. So that's Keld as well. There is, what's this one called? This one's called Marika. This one's by Along Avec Anna. If you can see that. Yeah. And so that's got this beautiful colourwork yoke. And these colours are Thunder. Let me just make sure I get this right. Thunder, Whispering Grass, Summer Harvest, which is over there somewhere, and Hedgerow, which actually is very similar to the Ivy. So you could totally recreate this from the colours in this update, actually. It took me forever to decide on the colours for that. We have, which one's this? This is the Ripple Bralette, which I have dared to wear actually last summer, and that's in the colourway Plum, which I actually haven't dyed more of. Actually, this does make a really good vest as well. It makes a good undergarment, because it's quite rare that I'm actually hot enough to wear something like that. And then here, this one I've brought down to show you. I wear this one such a lot. This one's knitted at a tighter gauge on the knitting machine and then finished by hand. But this one combines quite a few different yarns. You might have seen it before. This middle one here is Keld. And then either side we've got Keswick and Bowland, all 4-ply. So that's how it plays with its neighbours really well, is what I'm trying to say. It does actually combine really well with other yarns, including plied yarns as well. So don't be put off by the different texture. And then this one is, what's it called? It's like Vertical Stripes or something, by Petite Knit. I know that much. With a lovely drop shoulder. Now this was knitted with the Keld, held double with Coniston, because I wanted to combine the two textures. So you've got the merino linen in Keld, and then you've got the merino mohair in Coniston. And that has knitted up beautifully. I love this jumper. The Keld was Thunder and the Coniston was Charcoal. I think it was that way around. Might have been the other way around. So yeah, so if you want in Keld, don't want the Aran, want the 4-ply, and you want to hold it double with something else, it works really well for a more wintry garment. So finally, before Dave gets home and the dogs go nuts and I'm interrupted, let's just have a really quick look at shawlography. Apologies if that's just jumped onto your screen before I said it. Right, we're doing shawlography. If it's going to be a spoiler for Clue 2, turn off now and thank you for watching. Okay, right, let's just have 5 minutes with this amazing shawl. So I am partway through Clue 2. I don't know how far through I am because I haven't read ahead in the pattern, haven't watched the videos, haven't seen any spoilers. and I am loving the mystery element, so I'm keen to keep it that way. But it does mean I've got to kind of crack on, and that's where I'm up to. I've done my Watsits, and I'm on this slip stitch triangle pattern. Okay, it's huge, isn't it? It's going to be an enormous shawl, but then it's 5 skeins, so of course it's going to be. Let me see if I can hold it up like that. What do you think? Are you knitting it, and are you still enjoying it? Is yours neater than mine? I bet it is. But I'm just enjoying it so much. Excuse me. I love the mystery element of it. I had no idea that I would enjoy that, and I just love it. So yeah, it's just like taken over my knitting life though. I can't do anything else. But so be it, so be it. It's kind of what I need at the moment, because I'm having physio. I'm not allowed to run, I can hardly walk. I'm also not meant to be standing all that much, although my job is done standing up, so that's kind of tricky. So to have something that's really pulling my focus, particularly at the moment, I'm finding it really therapeutic and really positive. And I feel like I am part of a little community. There's quite a lot of us in the Facebook group who are knitting it, and there's every time I post it on Instagram, there are a lot of people who interact regarding it, and it makes me feel like, you know, sort of I'm doing this thing with other people, but in a kind of nice, quiet way. I'm in my own space, in my own company, but also connecting with other people around this thing, and kind of comparing notes and enthusing about it, and stuff like that. So I'm just enjoying the whole process so much. And also Stephen is really talented, seriously. I know that we know that, but then you make something like this and it's like, yeah, that's talent. So anyway, that's my raving about shawlography, and I shall stop now. Still managed to keep it under an hour, so yeah, that's good. You have to let me know if you think that like roughly an hour is about right for a shed cast, or would you like me to keep them shorter or even longer if my phone will tolerate it. And yeah, just let me know whatever you want to say. Drop a comment below and say it, as long as it's not horrible. No, that's fine, really, I can take it. Anyway, so that's enough rambling from me. Have a great weekend, have a great rest of the week, depending when this goes live. Enjoy the update if you're on the early doors access kind of, not list, it's not a list, but thing. Enjoy it on Tuesday if you're not, and if you're going to wait and see what's left, and kind of hold off until then. And yeah, that's it, folks. Hopefully see you next week. Bye.